Bonjour tout le monde! Le vidéoblog cette semaine, c'est sur l'Action de grâce, la belle longue fin de semaine qui nous attend cette fin de semaine. De bonnes nouvelles, il va faire beau. Profitez de l'automne, du coloris automnal et puis de la belle température que l'on va avoir, des belles marches, profitez de nos parcs. Un rappel, évidemment, notre vidéoblog cette semaine, on était pour parler à santé publique, mais ils sont débordés. Alors, je vous partage certaines des recommandations pour cette fin de semaine. En plus de ça, on parle au PDG des Bergers de l'Espoir et de la mission Ottawa pour comprendre ce qu'ils font, eux, en cette pandémie pour l'Action de grâce et puis comment on peut faire pour les appuyer. C'est pas traditionnel, une pandémie lors d'une fin de semaine habituellement centrée sur la famille. La fin de semaine de l'Action de grâce est importante pour tous et chacun. Je vous invite, et puis Santé publique nous invite à profiter de la belle température, mais un rappel, port du masque, on lave les mains et 2 mètres de distance. Autant que possible, on limite nos contacts avec des gens à l'extérieur de notre logement, de notre famille immédiate avec qui on habite au quotidien. On sait que la célébration de l'Action de grâce est habituellement un rassemblement de grandes familles. Évidemment, durant une pandémie, c'est différent. Les cas ont augmenté à Ottawa, les cas augmentent. Ce n'est pas parce que vous êtes en santé aujourd'hui qu'il y a quelqu'un dans votre entourage qui n'est pas contagieux. Donc, on vous demande de suivre les recommandations qui sont dernière heure, qui sont très claires. Restez et seulement visitez les gens qui sont avec vous. Alors, dans votre famille, je sais que le repas chaud et puis la proximité familiale est importante à tout moment. Une petite astuce, ce que vous pouvez faire, c'est faire un bon repas chaud, aller le livrer à vos membres de votre famille, à vos amis, à qui habituellement vous inviteriez chez vous ou vous iriez chez eux. Livrez-le, on retourne à la maison, on allume l'ordinateur et puis on connecte de façon virtuelle avec la bonne nourriture durant cette période. On reste connecté à notre famille, mais de façon sécuritaire. C'est une période exceptionnelle, il faut prendre des mesures exceptionnelles. Santé publique a mis à jour leur site web justement pour d'autres recommandations en cette fin de semaine de l'Action de grâce. Alors, santépubliqueottawa.ca pour tous les détails. Vous le voyez au bas de l'écran. Et puis, évidemment, on parle avec Deirdre et Peter de l'Action de grâce. Thanksgiving weekend also has a much greater implication for some of our community partners. I'm glad to be joined by the CEO of Shepherds of Good Hope, Deirdre Fireheit. Deirdre, thank you for joining us, as well as the CEO of the Ottawa Mission, Peter Tilley. You know them both. We work closely with both of them, and I'm glad that they were able to join us today. Maybe just a sense of where your organization's at. I usually go and serve at both the Ottawa Mission and Shepherds on Thanksgiving weekend. It's a bit different this year. What do you have planned?
It's very, very different this year in terms of how we're serving, but it's certainly not going to be any fewer meals served. We generally have a smaller Thanksgiving dinner than, say, the Mission does, but we have about 250 people roughly that would be coming in around the lunchtime period, which would be people who are experiencing homelessness in our area, and also many people who are in their communities who are vulnerably housed in the Lower Town area, and they may be just needing to make their check stretch to the end of the month. So they might be having to make a decision between putting food on the table or buying clothes for their kids or paying their rent, for example. So it's a tough time of year for people. It certainly looks different this year, but we've all, to use the buzzword of the day, pivoted quite well during the pandemic to try to make sure we can still serve the needs of people in our community.
Peter, what about you?
Well, it is, as Deirdre said, Matthew, it's a Thanksgiving like no other. We saw Easter like no other, and I guess we're in for Christmas like no other. So challenging time of year, what we can do versus what we want to do. We wish you could be here with us, as you always are, and so many other volunteers. We wish we could do those big sit-down meals all day long, but we can't. We'll provide Thanksgiving meals in-house for residents. We've going to have a huge takeout meal set up at our receiving dock like we did for Easter, and it went very well. So the weather looks good. It's going to be 10, 11 degrees and sunny, a bit chilly, but not too bad, not rainy. So people will be lined up around the block down Besserer, up Cumberland, we believe, for several hours, and we'll be providing takeout Thanksgiving meals. And all this week, thanks to that Pelican food truck that was donated to us because they weren't using it, we've been going out into the community providing meals in some of the impoverished neighborhoods. Well, we've kicked it up a notch, and we're going out and delivering Thanksgiving meals all this week throughout the week and the weekend. So we've been adding that piece. But yeah, it's a hard time of year in that we're missing the way things used to be and trying to cope with the way things are and adjust.
Well, I think the biggest thing that most people can do right now, because the costs have gone up for all of the shelters, to just implement new measures for mitigating risks around contracting the virus. So we put in plexiglass on our tables so that people can be physically distanced, plexiglass between the people who are serving the meals and the clients, and even just the cost of food has gone up. So if people can make cash donations, because then we can actually leverage those donations in a much greater way by bulk purchasing. So that is always great. For us now, the weather's getting colder. We're actually hoping that the community will donate things like hats, mittens, winter boots for men and women, because we at Shepherds we serve women as well in our women's shelter, and as well as winter coats. And we're always in need of linens. So if people are just putting new linens on their beds and getting rid of gently used linens and towels, those kinds of things. That's the kind of stuff that we could really, really use.
We've had volunteers coming in. We, like many organizations, put ourselves down to a core group of volunteers who were trained during the pandemic. Of course, by July and August, they were burning out and we had to recruit some of our former volunteers, new volunteers, and we've been running them through the training protocols and processes that are all different now, of course, and always a moving target. But we've brought in a group of our regular volunteers on the nights now. So we're deboning and prepping and preparing like we always do on a graveyard shift here at the Ottawa Mission. So we're doing what we can. Deirdre's right. The hardest part in all of this is we're going to miss those faces around the table. Matthew, you've been here enough to see how many women and children actually make it into the shelter on Thanksgiving, a men's shelter like this, because they're out in the community, they're lonely, they have nowhere else to be, and they don't want to be alone on Thanksgiving or Christmas. They'd rather come celebrate it with a group of people, a community, and that's not going to happen this year. The most they'll come close is to a takeout meal being handed to them at our receiving door.
If people can help, I want to make sure that we're both residents are aware of how to help Shepherds and the Ottawa Mission heading into Thanksgiving weekend. Peter, start with you. What's the best way to donate or contribute food donations?
Sure. So we're still taking turkeys after Thanksgiving too. We'll be needing volunteers. I'm sure some will be ready for a break, and people can go online and register here at ottawamission.com. And, as Deirdre and I both know, people can make a financial donation. We still have high demands that this pandemic has driven and put on us all. So the public's been great. Ottawa has been responding. Of course, I know Deirdre's in the same boat as I, that as we move on through the next few months, we're hoping that the support will still be there, because our challenges are there. We haven't reduced our staff. We haven't reduced our intensified cleaning efforts. We're still dealing with this pandemic. So people can help out anyway.
The best way to donate is to go to our website, sthottawa.com, and you can click on the link to donate, which we really appreciate. The community has really come together throughout this pandemic. As Peter said, the costs have actually gone up, and we've tripled our cleaners. We've had to, bring in new staff to work on front line. We've had to order PPE, all of the things that we were never doing before. So the costs have really, really gone up. So the community can really help with that. And Ottawa is a caring community. We've seen it throughout this pandemic. The response has been incredible. People care about people who don't have a roof over their heads, and that we hope continues for the next while, because we're all in this together for sure.
Alors, je remercie beaucoup les Bergers de l'Espoir et la mission d'Ottawa d'avoir pris le temps de nous partager certains des éléments en cette fin de semaine. On se rappelle, sensibilisation, période de sensibilisation des sans-abri au niveau systémique. Qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire pour les loger plus rapidement? Je vous souhaite une belle fin de semaine de l'Action de grâce. Puis je vous laisse sur une réflexion. Les anglophones vont dire qu'est-ce qu'on est thankful, en cette période de l'Action de grâce, qu'est-ce qu'on reconnaît, qui est-ce qu'on remercie? Et puis pour moi en ce moment, j'espère que pour vous d'ailleurs, c'est d'avoir la santé. Donc je vous la souhaite. Je remercie tous les travailleurs qui vont travailler en cette fin de semaine, et puis évidemment soyez conscients de la période dans laquelle on est. Merci et à bientôt.